we come to the end of Succot, that extraordinary festival that grounds us and grounds our Judaism. And this evening, our service, our Kabbalat Shabbat service, is a reflective and meditative service. And that's led just by me, and there's going to be some of the traditional liturgy and traditional songs. But there's also going to be chance to stop, to reflect, to pause. And the theme of the service this evening is the world around us, and how we connect to the world, how we connect to creation. So I really encourage you to join me for that reflective and meditative service tonight. But also we have lots of things tomorrow. Our Torah study, leading into Simchat Torah, our Torah study looks at the two very popular metaphors for Torah. Torah as fire and Torah as water. And we explore, what does that mean for us to see Torah as fire? What does that mean for us to see Torah as water? Do we find them helpful metaphors? That's in our Torah study, which is on Zoom only, starting at 9 a.m. And then we have our Shabbat Shacharit service. Right at the end of the festival of Sukkot, we change the tefillah. We change a couple of words in one of our prayers from mentioning dew to mentioning rain. The rabbis ask about why would you mention rain during Sukkot. They say we're not praying for it, we're just mentioning it. And so now we change the prayers. We change that little piece of liturgy. But there's also an extra prayer, a prayer that we recite on this exact service. And I found a really wonderful version of it. The prayer is known as Tfilat HaGeshem, the prayer for rain, or the prayer about rain, or the prayer of rain. And the traditional prayer is quite lengthy. I found a really extraordinary feminist version, which I really love, and I'm going to be sharing during tomorrow morning's service as well. And added to that, not only do we have these important shifts in the seasons, but also at the end of each of the pilgrim festivals, the Shalosh Regalim, we have a Yizkor service. And so I invite you to join me tomorrow in services, first for that prayer for rain, but also for Yizkor. If you're remembering someone, then I invite you to come and join us and to share their name and elevate their memory. But that's not all. Because Simchat Torah. Simchat Torah, the rejoicing of the law, the rejoicing of Torah. Rosh Hashanah, Elul, Rosh Hashanah have brought us into a greater sense of ourselves. Yom Kippur stripped away all the extraneous parts to ourselves to help us focus on who we really are. Sukkot brought us down to earth and said, yes, but you're not just a soul, you're a body. Your Judaism must be embodied. It must be in this earth. Simchat Torah says, and how does that connect with the law? What's the actual action? What are you going to do? What are you going to do that connects to our tradition? Our Simchat Torah celebrations have really changed over the last couple of years. And this year, what we're going to be doing, 5:30 until about 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, that's Saturday evening. First, there's pizza, to especially get the young families in. Then we are while we're having pizza, we're going to be inviting people to write haikus, little poems about Torah, and we're going to be sharing them over the meal. And then we have that wondrous act of opening up the Torah scroll, because the tradition, not biblical tradition, and interestingly, Simchat Torah really doesn't feature much in rabbinic literature at all either until much later. The tradition is to end the Torah reading on Simchat Torah, to end the whole Torah on Simchat Torah, and then start again, to keep going. And so how do you do that? Well, the tradition used to be you would take two different scrolls. You'd have one scroll where you read from the end of Deuteronomy, and the other scroll where you'd read from the beginning of Genesis. But in the last 40 years or so, the custom has developed in American Reform Judaism to take that scroll that you finished in Deuteronomy and to open it all the way up around the room so that everyone can see, and then read from Genesis, and then roll it back up ready for the next cycle of readings. It's a really, really extraordinary ritual, and we need as many people as possible to help us. You'll be able to hold on to the scroll, although not touching it with your hands. You get little gloves just to make sure that we protect the scroll. And importantly, you as adults are able to surround the children who sit in the middle surrounded by Torah. It's a really important point in their lives and in our lives as a community, showing these kids that their lives are surrounded by Torah and surrounded by the community that supports them through Torah. And so we really need your help. We need you to come and join us, as well as take a scroll and dance with it. But we're also adding an extra thing this year. I remember when I was a child, I remember Simchat Torah in our synagogue. And I remember really powerfully the act right near the end of getting all the children up and blessing them under the talit. And the talit would be held by differing members of the community, and it would usually be, because there were so many kids, it would usually be more than one talit. And the grown-ups would be standing there over us, and we would be blessed. And it's a way of really showing how important the children are in our community, and wishing them a blessing for the coming year. And so we're going to be doing that as well. So this isn't just something for kids and young families, although we especially hope that if you have kids that you can bring them to our Simchat Torah celebration, as well as bring yourselves, of course. But we also hope that all the adults in the community will come and show the children how important they are and how important Torah is in our lives. So we've got so much happening this Shabbat. We've got our reflective, meditative service this evening. We've got Torah study tomorrow morning. We've got Shacharit with that extra prayer for rain and Yizkor. And between 5:30 and 7 tomorrow evening, we have our Simchat Torah celebration. I do hope that you'll be able to join us for as many of them as possible. And I wish you Moadim LeSimcha, I wish you seasons of joy and Shabbat Shalom.